all, this is Mr. Hammond, and in this video we're going to take another look at Lynx and some of the more advanced features that are available through the Lynx whiteboard tool. So the first thing I want to look at is a tool that I think could be handy, especially if you want to have more than one student at the whiteboard at any given time, and that is the ability to use split screen. Now the split screen, what is unique about this split screen feature over the Clevertouch split screen feature is that you can have two whiteboards at the same time. So if I go to the hamburger menu, let me go to the hamburger menu. I have a split screen option within Lynx. I would just select the second one there, apply that, and it's as if I have two instances of the Lynx whiteboard open at the same time, and they interact separately. So on this side of the screen, I could create my whiteboard. Now this is where this orientation, this 210 by 297, might be a little bit better for this situation because you're going to utilize more of the whiteboard. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, create, and I have my whiteboard on this side, and I also have my own set of tools as well. So if I'm going through the pens and other tools that are there, and then if I jump to this side, you may not be able to see me real well, but if you create, go ahead and create same orientation. This right hand side would have their own unique set of tools as well. So they could each operate essentially separately, doing their own assignment or their own thing on their own whiteboard. So that is one unique feature that Lynx has that the other whiteboard does not necessarily have, the internal Clevertouch whiteboard. So the other piece, if I go back to exit out of the split screen, go back to that. The other unique feature that we found is how it saves. So I'm going to jump over to the whiteboard, the internal whiteboard, for a second, and we'll take a look at how it saves. So from the hamburger menu in the bottom left-hand corner, you do have obviously the option to save that whiteboard. When you hit save, it's going to ask us where we want it to save. It's going to ask us what we want to save it, or the file name that we want to save it as. So I have my file name. I'm going to change it. Go ahead and click OK. And let's say I make some edits to this file, and I want to save it again. So I would go back to the hamburger menu, hit save, hit OK, and it's going to now ask me to save it as a different file name. So when I do this, it just keeps on creating new files on top of files on top of files. And if I save this 10 times during a class period, I'm going to have 10 different files. However, if you were to use Lynx, to go back to the Lynx whiteboard, you have two save options here. One is save. Now, the first time you save let's go ahead and save it to, let's say, downloads. I can label it. I just labeled it as a generic name. So you do have the option to save it as different file types, which you do on the whiteboard as well. And that option's over here. So if I want to save it as a PDF so I can just share this out with students later, I could do that. But let's go ahead and save it. And then this is where the uniqueness comes into play. So if I start to edit this whiteboard, and then at some point during the process I want to save it, I go back to that hamburger menu. When I hit save, it just saves over top of that file. So it's not like you're creating new files. You can if you want to, but you do not have to. So it just saves right over top of that file, and this is the new version of that file. Now, if you do want a separate version of that file, you may have noticed that there is a save as feature as well there. So you can do that, you just don't have to. So that is another unique piece of Lynx that I really like about it. And then finally, the last piece of Lynx, I'm gonna have to jump out of it. Let's go and close out of this. And the last piece of this is the games piece. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say it's just games. It's actually very little games. There might be 2 or 3 games, but there are, I don't know, I'm just estimating, but maybe 40, 50 different interactive online math labs that are available through this games button. So let's go ahead and select that, and it's going to take us to a web browser where we're going to have the opportunity to select some different things that would apply to us. So you do see some different sort of buttons here that I've already added to my list. When you first do this, all you will see is this top left hand uh, button here. It says add game. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add game, and I have lots of different things, different options that I can select from. Anything from a calculator, there's a Connect Four type board, there's an area model introduction, and then a lot of other science lab type stuff. So let's see if I can find one that I have not added yet. Let's try this one. Okay, so when you find one that you want to have access to, you would select it and you hit this little disk. That means it's saving. And now I have the option to use that with my class. So I can go ahead and select that. And now I have an interactive simulation type activity, online lab set up so you can work on it in the class. And a lot of this stuff is they are things that you can interact with on the whiteboard. So you can drag and drop. There's a lot of different pieces that you can interact with typically. And that's it. That's I'm sure there are a lot of other things within this Lynx whiteboard tool that you might find. Feel free to share as you find them. But those are some of the things that I found that I'm excited about. If you have any questions on this or anything else with regards to Lynx that I can help with, please let me know. Thanks.